Welcome to a new episode of the Cadaxo Shorts. My name is Oliver and I'm going to present small ABAP or SQL statements in this video format. Let's see what we got today. Okay, today we are going to have a look at the different possibilities of joins. When you look into ABAP code, especially set code, but even in SAP standard codes, you not very often see complex join statements. This is due to several reasons. In my opinion, the biggest problem was in the last years that it's difficult to create a statement within the system, and so therefore the people try to minimize this and make very simple SQL statements. But joins are very simple. Let's have a look at different join options. You have inner joins, outer joins, and even cross joins. Inner join. What is an inner join? Inner join is you take two tables and you show the result, which has an entry in at least both tables. So it could be a one-to-many or a one-to-one relation, but it is only shown when this is within both tables. The difference to an outer join, in an outer join, you have the left or the right side. So usually I prefer a left outer join, where you have to have an entry in the left table, and in the right table you can have an entry. If you don't get an entry in the right table, then it's showed with null values, which means you get at least the left table. And who knows what's a cross join? A cross join is where you have two tables and each entry on the left side is linked to each entry on the right side. So you get a huge list. I have never used it. I can think of any possibility where this is really useful to do a cross join. So we are going to focus now on the inner and the outer, in that case left outer join. There you have many to one, where you can state the cardinality on certain databases like the SAP HANA database to give a database hint to the system. Now let's have a look at the different joint options and the joint statements and the where statements in that case. So now we're looking in the SQL cockpit, and I've just prepared two different variants. The first one, we're going from data model. We are going to have a look at business partners and their phone numbers. So I have three different SQL statements. Let's have a look at the results here. The first one is an inner join. This means we are taking the business partners. We have this put 020, that's the link table to the addresses, and the phones are part of the address, therefore we need this link. And then we have the inner join on the phone numbers. So we are getting a list, in that case that's the first one, with all business partners that have at least one phone number. In the second list, you see now you got 40 records. There we have an inner join on the addresses, and then a left outer join on the phone numbers. This means we get all the business partners which have at least one address. That's the put 020, the address link table. And if possible, we get the phone number. If not, we don't see the phone number there. So when we look at this list here, just execute this, only this one, then we can see that a bit better. Then we get the business partner here. Then we get the addresses with an inner join. This means all business partners which at least have one address. And then we get the phone numbers. And there you see, in that case, that's the left outer join. In that case, this business partner 101 does not have a phone number, but it's still listed. In the first SQL statement, this one is not listed because it doesn't have a phone number. And now let's do the third one. The third one has two left outer joins, which means we get all business partners regardless if they have an address and regardless if they have a phone number. So in that case, you will see here at the end, here in that case, the partner 103, it does not have an address, therefore it does not have a phone number. Now we have much more records. And depending on the thing you want to do, you need either an inner join, because then you get only the business partners with phone numbers. But if you want to get the business partners and if possible their phone numbers, then you need outer joins, because then you get the business partner and at the end you see if there is a phone number or not. From writing the SQL statements, one tip: use aliases as partner in that case, and link and phone, because if you get more complex statements like join about 8-9 tables, it's very hard to read even the next day or in half a year if you don't use alias, or if you use alias like A, B, C, D. So often you see as A, table 1 as A, table 2 as B. I personally don't like that, because then you have a hard time reading when you join which one was B and okay, this is B. So therefore we have the put 000 as partner table, put 020 as link table, and the add area 2 table as phone table. Okay, that's just one tip. Now I got another example which I want to show you. This is now here the where clauses in that case. So you have here a where clause on the an inner join and a where clause in the ABAP in the SQL statements, and then in the second example you have the where clause within the link, within the join. So let's execute this. For example, I think we have 4 examples. So okay, let's focus on the first ones, the first 2 in that case. So what's the difference? There is no difference in the first example, because on the inner join, in that case, you have the inner join on the link table and the inner join on the phone table. And that means you get all the business partners that have a phone number. Then it doesn't matter if you put an additional where clause or you put the where clause into the join statement. And now let's have a look at the second example. Now we have a left outer join on the phone number and the left out with a where clause. And then you have a left outer join where you have the join clause combined with this default flag. So now don't want to execute the first 2 as well. So now have a look on only those 2. For the first one we get 7 records, for the second one 39 records. So What's the difference now? The first one is where the flag default is X. So you get the join between the partner and the phone number. But at the end, the where clause is like an inner join. At the end of this list, when you have it like this, only the left outer join, then you get all the business partners and, if possible, their phone numbers. And when you then at the end add the where clause, you reduce it to a business partner which has a default phone. And on the second part, when you have the default flag within the where clause, this means you get a list of all the business partners, and if they have a default phone, then you get the default phone. So always be aware where you put this additional flag, this additional clause. If you want to have only business partners which have a default phone, then you have to put it in the where clause, which basically is which is different to the second requirement, where you want to have business partners, and if they have a default phone, then you want to see the default phone. Okay, so think about it. What do you need? What do you want? And if you're getting used to that, using joins, it's no big deal. Yeah, you see here you have the select with the fields. In that case, I used all the fields, which is not ideal in the real world, because you just want to reduce the lists to only the fields you need. Please don't select all the fields, especially in a HANA database. The inner join or the join is always the same, like you have an inner join or left outer join. The second table, use a good alias, and then how those tables are joined. And if you're programming ABAP and you have the quick fix, then you get the list of the fields, the automated list. Then you can say the par now. You can select it directly from your context menu. So therefore, it's very easy to create those joins. Don't be afraid, use them. Don't select anything from the first table, loop through that, and then select everything from the second table. Do the join, let the database do the work. And I say thank you. This was another episode of the Cadaxo Shorts. See you next week, or I don't know, maybe 2 weeks, and we will start with the next statements. If you want to know something, some special SQL statement or ABAP statements, just leave us a note and we will try to put this in one of our next episodes. See you, thank you, and bye-bye.